Electrocast.
This podcast is supported by FX's English Teacher. Last year's critically acclaimed series returns to follow Evan, Gwen, and Marky as they vie for their students' divided attention. See why Cosmopolitan called its premiere season a masterclass of comedy, while Glamour raved it's the year's funniest and most heartwarming new comedy series. FX's English Teacher. All new Thursdays on FX. All episodes now streaming on Hulu.
I just wanted to come here. It's not day or night. It's kind of half night, you know? And I'm scared like I can't tell you. And you're scared. I get even more frightened when I see how afraid you are, and then I realize what it is.
Halloween, or whatever movies, 2025.
What up, and welcome to Halloween 2025 at Or Whatever Movies. I'm your co-host, Iris, and I'm here with my older brother,
Wesley.
I'm like busy and in the trenches of finishing the Powers of Darkness podcast, and I'm like, just tell me what to watch and when to watch it. And then you pull out When Evil Lurks. Like, out of the ether or out of hell or who knows where.
Halloween season. Isn't it grand? There's a bite in the air, the mist, and just finally a reprieve from the brutal heat of summer 2025. But is it as bad as the countryside of Argentina?
I don't know that anything is bad as the countryside in Argentina. Well, number one, it's frigid there. Everyone's always saying to each other to get jackets and stuff. They don't seem to be particularly cold, but they're kind of bundled up, and they took pity on the poor farmhand boy and let him sleep in the barn.
Yeah, stay in the barn. Get the hell out of here first thing in the morning. Don't ever come back.
It was important for him to stay there because he was so important to me feeling any sense of resolution from When Evil Lurks.
Yeah, we needed to clear up the mystery that plagues the first hour of this movie.
IMDb has given this a mere 6.9 out of 10. I mean, I think that's like primer level.
People on IMDb, I don't think, rate movies based on their quality, but rather the emotional impact that some people would suffer from this movie.
You're saying that this movie had an impact?
I'm saying that if people don't like it, if it makes them feel grody, or they don't like seeing a mom eating out of a kid's head like a popcorn bucket, maybe they'll rate the movie a little bit lower.
This movie isn't exactly for parents. When homegirl's all like, evil loves children, and children love evil, I was like, ugh. Not exactly for parents.
Demian Rugna said that parents were going to be very angry with him over this movie, and that he was just like, well, how did you feel about demonstrating such evil on children? And he was like, well, I don't have kids, so it wasn't a big deal to me.
For a dude who doesn't have kids, he certainly gets into the family dynamic.
Yeah. Terrified was a movie that he did before this. Apparently not his first movie. He had a hard time getting some movies off the ground, but that one apparently not altogether dissimilar. It's about communities and families in rural communities, as I understand it. So that affects the families, everybody, not just Pedro and Jimmy.
I feel like you're playing it safe with me, so let's just get into it.
What did you think of the opening scene of When Evil Lurks?
So the opening scene, Pedro counts 5 shots. Boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. We understand immediately that Pedro and Jimmy are isolated, that they're pretty capable as outdoorsmen, as people who live in the country, in the Pueblo, as they say. They go outside, and then they weren't rash. They weren't dumb. They were like, all right, we'll head out at first light kind of a thing. That's the first scene.
Yeah. Did you notice one uninterrupted take? They hear the shots. Pedro comes into view. They get their shotguns, put on their coats. Jimmy opens the door. They walk outside. He's got his cigarette. And then the camera cuts to the misty, scary open field, the evil land, as it were. And then one of them's like, nah, dude, tomorrow. I'm not. Let's go to bed.
There were a couple of nope moments in this. And I didn't have enough information for it to be my nope moment, but I could appreciate that these were rational men who knew better to just wait until the morning.
Oh, good segue. We didn't know anything. They apparently knew enough. Exposition mom in the car eventually knew all the things, laid out the rules. But what is going on for the longest time? Like, even when we're introduced to the possessed, to the rotten that was Uriel, still, we didn't get the full rules until, what, halfway through?
And the mom exposition car scene, that's even after all of the chaos with Pedro's ex-wife.
Right.
And his kids.
Chaos, man, that's a nice way to put it.
A lot of intense terror before we understand what's going on, but the filmmakers give me enough. I understand enough of what's going on that I'm not too behind so that I'm disengaged. Like, I was pretty engaged with the mystery. Something is very wrong with Uriel. It's not, maybe we don't understand what, but we know that it's bad. And Ruiz's reaction to it corroborates that. And Ruiz becomes cautionary tale, right? Because whether he knows the rules, he's unable to control his fear. He's so afraid that he lets his fear get the better of him. Even his wife knows that what they have now, the horror that they're experiencing now, is nothing compared to what's to come.
Oh.
And she behaves in a weird, ironic way, kind of rationally.
Mm-hmm. She's seen it. A couple people say we've seen it before. Uriel's brother, the kid, who eventually comes to give us quite a lot of information and round it out, he said that he reported it a year ago. Was Uriel saying, kill me, because he wanted to die? Because the demon,
no.
let's call it a demon, it controlled other people, right? It like completely, It dictated what they said, what they did, bashing people in the forehead with hammers and stuff. And the demon wanted to be born. So
yes.
That wasn't the demon. That was the demon, you're saying? Speaking through Uriel and being like, kill me so that I can be born?
Yes. Speaking in Uriel's voice when he's saying, kill me. Yes. And I think that's part of the magic is the wrong word. That's part of, and mystery is not right either. It's part of I'll qualify it by saying it's part of the magic of the storytelling that we think it is Uriel saying, kill me, put me out of my misery. And then we understand later that it was the demon saying, let me be born.
Which the mother knows, Uriel's mom knows, which Ruiz, the landowner, apparently knows right off the bat. Actually, maybe he doesn't know. He knows some of the problem, right? Because he's experienced this before. He knows some of the lore. He's like, let's take Uriel the hell away from here, at least off of my land, thinking that will solve everything, right?
I got lost for a second there in Ruiz's whole conspiracy theory. That he thinks that somebody who wants his land planted the rotten there. Like, he was a little bit conflicted because he felt like some force, someone was trying to displace him and his family, and that he had hopes that maybe he could get around that by removing Uriel to a different location. But suffice it to say that everyone has a pretty good idea, even if they don't understand the rules, what's going on. And so that leads me to my question. Are we in an alternate time, place, or universe? Or is this just Pueblo folklore that's kind of outside of our big city life understanding?
That was our first question, Kelly and I, who looked up the rules and whether or not this is established as Argentinian folklore. Do the locals know about the vampire, about the Nosferatu, right? So they can inform Harker before he goes to Castle Dracula. Not so much. Apparently this dude likes possession movies, likes the Evil Dead and stuff like that. Mr. Rugna, he wanted to make a movie, but didn't want to fall back on, for South American movies in particular, religious tropes a whole lot. So he didn't want it to be all bound up in a particular religion or in the church. So he made up rules and disseminated them throughout this part of Argentina as fact, as legend.
This fictional part of Argentina.
Right. I guess so. I mean, another time and place, I don't know about another universe, but the rules were fake. The rotten, they don't exist anywhere else other than in this movie in this particular form. Is it an exorcism movie? Is it a zombie movie? Is it a evil land movie?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it's an Event Horizon. Evil is in the ship movie. I think I understand now that there was a specific demon to Uriel that stays, for the most part, in Uriel and is still waiting to be born. That being said, evil is lurking everywhere. It's a force that's in the shadows of the electric lights. It's a force that apparently is in children and animals and I want to say objects, but maybe not so much.
But it's spread through objects. Is it spread organically? Is it spread spiritually? That's hard to say.
It sounds like it's spread through fear, which is not something that you can easily separate oneself from. You know, it's not like you can disrobe your fear and burn it in the street.
He said this is a parable about farmers who aren't being helped by the government, who relies on them for agriculture, but who, when something happens, if there's a pestilence or something, they're left on their own. The ground is evil. The countryside where they live, the land is evil.
Who do Pedro and Jimmy go talk to? Is that the local police?
Yeah, they go to the police who want nothing to do with it.
When the farmhand, the son, reported it, we eventually understood that he had reported it to the cleaner. A cleaner other than Jimmy's girlfriend.
But the cleaner might be an agent of the government.
That's interesting. So they're all kind of interconnected agencies. It wasn't like you report to the police and the police send the cleaner.
I think as far as this movie is concerned, but there are questions that I have because Ruiz knew the rules and the mom knew the rules and still got dead. And Ruiz, he knew some things and wanted to get the rotten off of his land, but didn't know not to shoot that goat. But his wife knew. So did the wife do what she did because she knew that they were doomed anyway once he killed Black Phillip?
That's exactly what I was thinking. That being a reference, of course, to The Witch. Robert Eggers, The Witch. So yeah, she knew that what they were experiencing now was nothing compared to what was to come, and that it would be better to die. That was why she was so desperate. It was her last moment to potentially save her family. Probably because she knew what she had to do if she couldn't stop Ruiz.
I watched it again. She was not blank-faced and smiling. She was horrified at having to kill him and then having killed him after he killed Black Phillip with a look of horror on her face. She didn't do that because apparently if you stab yourself as a method of unaliving yourself, there are superficial wounds, some exploratory wounds before you commit. She did not. There was no exploratory. She used what strength she had while she had it to go hard.
Now, why? I only laugh because it was so horrific what she did to herself when she axed herself in the face. But I say with confidence that she was behaving rationally, that she was basically having mercy on herself and her husband by killing them. But that being said, I can't shake the feeling that the evil was also somehow possessing her, right? Because it's feeding off of her fear. It was not above making people eat their grandmothers or making pets eat their owners. I think that was evil motivated.
I mean, a parasite isn't doing well by killing its host. If he violates the rules by shooting the goat, if you use a firearm to try to destroy the evil, then you die. So he did. Now, did the evil orchestrate his death through his wife? And if so, if it transferred from the goat to him and then she killed him, so it transferred to her, then why would she kill herself before it has a chance to spread even farther? This is going back to some of our other debates about vampire movies. Check out Vampire Month or whatever movie it was last month. There has to be rules because otherwise the whole world becomes vampire very quickly.
That's why I think I made the distinction between the demon that was possessing the rotten and then the evil that was kind of lurking all within the village. Because that demon appeared to stay with the first rotten, until the very end. Like, I don't think it's the same evil that was in Black Phillip or that was in Jair.
Jair is the autistic one.
Yeah, I don't think that was the demon in Jair. I think that was evil moving and motivating him.
So Demian Rugna, he, with what he has, goes hard. What I love about talking about this particular movie is that what he did have was limited in the things that he could do, which I found fascinating. He complained about having the kids, of which there were so many. Kids are governed by rules in filming in America. They can't exceed a certain number of hours on set a day and things like that. According to Damien Rugna, for Argentinian children, I don't know if this is like federally mandated or whatever, how many hours of shooting a day do you think he was allowed with these kids?
Well, it varies by age, but I'm assuming where you're going with this is that he wasn't very restricted.
He was. That's what's so interesting. He got 2 hours a day with these kids.
Whoa.
You know how hard that is? They're not allowed to be covered in blood. Not allowed to have blood on them. They can add stuff in post.
How is that possible?
The kid at the end, the evil that was born at the end, was covered in blood. They're like, we had to use blue paint and then key it in post.
No. What?
I mean, this is beyond Danny Torrance. This is beyond Danny Lloyd from The Shining about protecting these kids. I don't think they knew that they were in a scary movie. Some of the stuff had to have been unavoidable. But man, some horrible these kids must have had a great time on set. It made me laugh when I read about Black Phillip, and he said that he hates that scene and that maybe eventually he'll come to love it, but right now he hates it, even though everyone loves the goat scene because it was shot with natural light. He had like changing light. The sun was going behind clouds and changing light, and he had 150 bastards who wouldn't do what they were supposed to do.
He had them pretty nicely corralled.
So he said it took a lot of effort. They would go where the food was to an extent, but the handlers are just like, there's only so much we can do. And because we talked about how terrible Philip was on the set of The Vivitch, and this is like 150 of them.
Our discussion for which is available at orwhatevermovies.com, wherever you get podcasts.
So the kids, he wasn't allowed to say, I don't think, yeah, I ate my mom. He was like, the same thing that happened to your mother or whatever. and he was not allowed to hold that gun.
Really?
Yeah. And so these limitations of what they can and cannot do with a severely limited budget made for an interesting composition. He can do truly horrible things with the adults. And he managed to make horrible things happen with kids who, when they were practical, real children, living, alive children, he couldn't do, but he could do that stuff off screen. I've gone my whole life. I've never shied away from horror movies. Some I find less pleasant than others to watch, but I knew the rules, or at least some of them by this point. Pedro, he's talking about the evil is coming, and he's taking off his clothes and getting butt naked in the living room, and you're like, oh, it's on his clothes. And the kids start petting the dog, and Kelly's like, they're petting that dog too much. Oh, now they're going to have to kill that dog. And I'm like, they better not kill the dog. And they were just like petting the dog excessively. I knew it was coming. And when he attacked that girl, my feet flew up. I jumped. It scared the bejesus out of me in a way that I can't ever, not since Mickey and Elaine, Uncle Mickey and Aunt Elaine, and making me watch Japanese horror about living hair coming to strangle its victims. Nothing has made me jump like that in my adult life. Fucking Roger.
What was the guy's name from Breaking Bad that you guys always...
Fucking Todd?
Yes. I likewise knew it was coming, but it didn't stop me from throwing the iPad across the room. From having to pause the movie and to pace around my bedroom.
Oh man, now the girls are never going to get a dog.
And I had to go into producer mode to cope. and break down how I would have shot that scene. You have to shoot that scene out before you give that dog a mannequin in those jammies. Right? You can't shoot the dog tearing into the mannequin while there's a girl wearing those jammies on set, right? So that they had to shoot out after. I was breaking down in my mind that when she covers her mouth to talk to her mom and tell her that her dad's going to kill her, that her husband's going to kill her, I'm like, okay, so they ADR'd it.
Interesting.
I don't know how they did the poom, when he's like going to bring the car and you're going to go poom. Maybe they changed a word or two and ADR'd a word or two, but I had to think, that they were like, 10 minutes, you're going to wrap and we're going to give you ice cream. And then she started dancing on the driveway, right? In her jammies.
Right? The kid comes downstairs.
Way.
He's watching his sister being mauled, and they probably told that kid, so your sister, spread all your toys all around the floor. She's playing with your toys. And he comes down all horrified looking. That said, this movie made me want apple ice cream. I want to try that. I talked about it a few times.
It seemed like special, apple custard, in those little styrofoam cups or something.
Oh.
He had a stockpile of that apple ice cream.
Note that the little girl, when she came back and was dancing and stuff, wasn't tore up at all. Sabrina was all torn up. Nobody else healed. It's because they either didn't have the heart or weren't allowed to put that child in horrific makeup.
That's just how the evil worked, dude. That she is innocent and pure looking still.
Yeah.
And yet so corrupt.
By having the girl being so much more creepy that she's being playful and smiling and funny and not all tore up. And
right.
It lends to the overall theme of this movie, which is that because I wasn't in the know, I feel like the terror was here, there, and everywhere. By petting the frickin' dog. And then when it came, it shocked me so much that I felt like nobody was safe.
It did seem like it was everywhere, because you have to think that Leo was just as possessed, and yet also there were remnants of real Leo there. He killed his wife and what he would have thought if he was in his right mind, his daughter. And when he wakes up from the airbag, there's a recognition, that the daughter that's dancing is a demon. What I'm trying to say is that I think it was everywhere. Something that Jimmy's girlfriend said helped me understand that there were different degrees. I think there was evil in Jimmy, and I think there was evil in Pedro, and I think that for whatever reason, the composition of their minds was such that it couldn't command them to do things.
Yeah, why wasn't he contaminated or rottenized if he had the clothes on that the kids were touching that the dog sniffed?
Exactly. I mean, he basically brought the force to them and was contaminated to a certain extent, but not to the extent that, I guess, the others were around him, right? She talked about how the demon couldn't figure out Jair's mind, that it was going to take some time. And it bought us a little time and a little bit of a reprieve to have some emotional moments. But apparently, in the end, when Jair's mind was unlocked, he was, am I correct in understanding that he was motivated to eat his grandmother?
He did. Notably didn't have any gore on him at all when he supposedly ate an entire woman and consumed her down to her hair. We needed the other kid to be lucid enough and himself enough to admit ultimately that he ate his mom and killed the cleaner. Well, see, he said same thing that happened to your mother when referencing his mom. So we needed them to be able to talk. Did Pedro allow for the evil to be born? But by him whopping Uriel in the head, ultimately, that allowed the evil to be born?
Yeah. The only way to safely kill the rotten is with the little cleaner scepter thingy.
The tools that they didn't have
neck.
anymore. Well, did he hit him with that?
You have to stab him in the nape of the neck.
Okay.
So no.
But did he kill Uriel, or was Uriel already long gone?
He killed him.
Okay, so the evil is
he
born.
allowed the evil to be born. Yes.
And then the evil war paints him on the head.
Yes.
That doesn't infect him, and likewise, because he killed Uriel, wouldn't he die by the rules?
I mean, if you're trying to say that Pedro was spared, I think you're wrong.
Well, yeah,
I think that this was the evil's punishment to Pedro, to let him survive.
Well, it must have been, because why could the kids kill the girlfriend and not kill Pedro? I guess she was more of a threat because she knew the rules and had the implements or whatever to kill Uriel, but so did he.
You know, this brings me to the IMDb description for this movie. At the end of it says that they, being Pedro and Jimmy, decide to get rid of this body only to end up unintentionally spreading the chaos. It was one of those things where it was like the evil is 10 steps ahead and knows that if given the opportunity, Pedro's going to do exactly what it needs Pedro to do. It's going to enable the evil to be born. So the woman was more of a threat, and also Pedro had a purpose to serve for the evil.
He John Doe'd him, a la Seven.
Cheated?
Well, yeah. Well, no, the kids allowed him to live so he could complete the prophecy or whatever, like John Doe did to Mills in Seven, spoiler, so that we could leave him marked in blood and screaming on his knees, a la Civil War.
Pretty much. And what more does Pedro have to lose after murdering Jair?
I mean, everybody, yeah, I guess. Did Sabrina, when she came back, all tore up, did she really want the kid? Like she wanted a snack? Or was she just terrorizing Jimmy?
Is that the image that Jimmy needed to see? Was it Sabrina eating his nephew?
Oh, Jesus.
That took him over the edge?
But he didn't die. He killed her with the car.
He killed her, right? And then she, to whatever degree that was successful, I guess is debatable. But, you know, what purpose does it serve for her to reveal to us his indiscretion? Isn't Sabrina demon, insinuating that Sabrina and Jimmy had a relationship?
I didn't get that at all. But I was focused on other things, trying to keep up. That's interesting. I mean, Jimmy did take a very active role in killing her with a car for a second time, which I also don't know was effective because we saw, as Kelly said, we saw him later, but we didn't actually see him kill her after hitting her with the car. Because of all of them, maybe came out of this the least scathed, even though the evil is now unleashed upon the world.
But that's the thing. Like, yes, they survived, so to speak, but only to live in their torment, like to live in their loss and with evil all around. It's kind of like there are worse things than death.
Man, being an evil beset Argentinian farmer. But it's a completely manufactured universe, so you can do whatever you want. And Demian Rugna does a lot of those things to horrifying effect.
I mean, pretty creative, right? And a seasoned horror veteran. He seems like someone who comes at this with a horror background, and this is his genre. But as a seasoned horror movie reviewer, you love to talk about the tropes and stuff like that. But to me, this felt really original.
It did. Kelly was not happy with the images that I put in her head. I actually lured her in because she's taking Spanish right now, taking Spanish lessons or teaching herself Spanish. And I was like, but it's Spanish language. And she watched it and was mad. But then today, in preparation for our discussion, she was like, did you look up the rules? And she was Googling stuff, and we were like rewatching scenes and stuff. So she got caught up, which is a testament to this film's efficacy in being not only scary, but introducing some compelling things that are wholly original that made her want to seek out, go back into the world of a horror movie and seek out some of that stuff, which I had fun doing.
Why do you think that is?
Just because there was so much to uncover, so much that was confusing that got drowned out by the gore and the outright horror. So we went back and watched certain things. The beginning scene, Uriel's scene, the end, where did he specifically say that he ate his mother? No, he said the same thing that happened to your mother, which that kid had no way of knowing, but there's a hive mind, an evil hive mind among the murderous, cannibalistic children. A lot of fun for an effective, scary movie. I have to admit that I was so thrilled that they stayed away from religion altogether, because I feel like it's lazy. And maybe the inversion of your faith is what scares the most people, not me. Exorcist being a notable exception, but I was grateful that this was original in more ways than one.
It separates us from our reality, but still teaches us so much about it. I was pretty with Pedro. I don't know that I would have done much differently than him. And yet I see that he played exactly into the plans of evil itself. And that's scary. It's a very scary thought.
It's completely understandable, though, why you would stick with Pedro. I'm not saying it in an Argentinian farmer sense, but he was kind of the poor man's Hugh Jackman, as Kelly kept saying.
He was great. I mean, when he's butt naked and arguing with his wife.
The kid even comes in and sees your dad butt naked and ranting about the evil that's coming. Jeez, man.
I mean, there's so much going on in that scene. It was insane. I mean, he's like, oh, I don't know what more they could have done to ratchet the tension. You know the dog's there. You know that something's very wrong. The police are being called. Doesn't Leo already have his shotgun? Like, it's a very tense scene.
Yeah,
and
it comes with their previous relationship and all the stuff, and
all
I
the
don't
baggage.
think it was restraining order or whatever, but she was legitimately angry for a reason. On top of him doing nutso stuff.
Right. And it's one of those boy who cried wolf situations where you feel kind of bad for Pedro because you know that he's right. And yes, he's a terrible communicator and could have much more effectively and to the point explained to people what was going on. But they're all just like, Pedro, what is it now? Pedro, what did you do this time?
Oh, God.
And poor Pedro.
Poor Pedro. Vote for Pedro.
When Evil Lurks, I can't imagine a bigger surprise Halloween 2025 than When Evil Lurks.
Review proof. Congratulate yourself on getting through it. I think there's a lot to explore thematically, cinematically, and just culturally.
I feel like we were trying to understand this movie, which is, I think, part of the fun of not only Halloween, but what we do here at Or Whatever Movies, or whatevermovies.com, or wherever you get podcasts. Thank you for listening to this episode on When Evil Lurks. 818-835-0473 or whatevermovies@gmail.com. Thank you for listening and happy Halloween.
Hey, Iris, what's new in Dracula Town?
There's a lot happening, actually. Everyone wants to know. Who wrote Powers of Darkness?
The lost Nordic Dracula variation?
Yep.
Or could it have been Bram Stoker? Find out in the Powers of Darkness podcast from Or Whatever Movies.
Debuting October 2025.
Hey everybody, Diego here from the Candle Power Hour and Candle Power Records. Together with Electrocast Records, we proudly present Imperial Highway, a California sampler. 15 singles tracked by artists all based in California. Every song on Imperial Highway is mastered to deliver. Rock and roll is back, and we got what you want. If you're craving new music, Imperial Highway hits the spot. Download Imperial Highway. Check us out at candlepowerrecords.com and listen to the Candle Power Hour on Electrocast.
Electrocast. Electrocast.